Conservation Commission, and I'll open the meeting with reading the script for remotely conducted meetings issued by Governor Baker. So good evening. This is the open meeting of the January 12th, 2021 Hopkinton Conservation Commission, which is being conducted remotely, consistent with Governor Baker's executive order of March 12, 2020, due to the current state of emergency in the Commonwealth due to the outbreak of the COVID-19 virus. In order to mitigate the transmission of the COVID-19 virus, we are complying with the executive order that suspends the requirement of open meeting law to have all meetings in a publicly accessible physical location. All members of public bodies are allowed and encouraged to participate remotely. This meeting will feature public comment. For this meeting, the Concom is convening by Zoom as posted on the town's website, identifying how the public may join. Additionally, the meeting is being broadcast live and recorded by HCAM. Accordingly, please be aware that others may be able to see you, and take care not to screen share your computer. Anything that you broadcast by voice or video will be captured by the recording. Supporting materials that have been provided to the members of the Conservation Commission for this meeting are available on the town's website. After commission members and staff have discussed each project application on the agenda, the chair will then open the discussion to public comment. Members of the public who wish to speak are asked to identify their name and address. 3 minutes will be afforded for each public comment. Finally, each vote taken in this meeting will be conducted by a roll call vote of the commission members. At this time, I'd like to confirm members are present through a roll call attendance. Melissa Ricos.
Present.
Kerry has not joined us yet, so she is not here. Jim Cirillo.
Here.
Ed Harrow.
Present.
Janine LeBlanc. I don't believe Janine has joined. Ted Barker Hook.
Here.
And this is Jeff Barnes speaking.
I just joined. Janine.
Okay, Janine just joined, so she's here, and Kerry is coming in now, and Anna. So if we can get a roll call attendance for staff, Don McAdam,
Here.
Anna Rogers,
Here.
and Matt Verrill.
Here.
Okay, thank you, everyone. Okay, for tonight's meeting, we're going to deviate from the agenda for just a moment, because we have Mrs. Karnofsky who would like to address the commission. She is on the agenda later on, but she doesn't have a computer. She's calling in by phone. So just to make it convenient for her, I want to open it up to Mrs. Karnofsky at this time for her statement to the commission. Mrs. Karnofsky, can you hear me?
Yes, I'm here. Thank you.
Okay, if you would like to speak to the commission, now's the time. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. I did send individual letters around to all members, including the chairman, and I think they know what I'm calling about. Now, similarly to what the planning board is doing, they're having an executive session, which they have scheduled with the town council and both town administrators, and I'm meaning Norman and Elaine. And I'm calling in to ask you to do the same for the Conservation Commission, requiring an executive session.
And this
Does
is
anyone have any questions about what this session would be about? I'd rather not talk about it if you've read about it already.
So just so the public is aware, this statement is with regard to the Liberty Mutual solar project, correct?
It is, yes.
Okay. All right. Okay, and so you know the commission will be going into executive session at the end of this meeting to discuss that project.
Will you have the resource of one of the town councils, either Ray or Brian?
We have Mrs. Rebecca Lacey, who works with Mieres in Harrington.
Oh, wonderful.
So she will be present during the executive session, yes.
Okay, I won't take any more of your time then.
Okay, thank you, Mrs. Karnowski. Have a good evening.
Yep. You're welcome.
Okay, thank you. Bye. Okay, very good. All right, so we've had a few cancellations tonight on the agenda. So just, if anyone from the public is here to listen to the hearing for Abbott Realty Trust, Claro, 0 Hayden Row, Nation, 0 Wood Street, Mastriani, 0 South Street. Those hearings for tonight have been continued out to January 26th. So just want to give you the heads up so you're not sitting in the meeting for the next hour, waiting to hear on those applications, only to find out that they've been postponed.
Through the chair.
Yes, Don, go ahead.
Number one was actually continued out to February 9th, in case anyone's,
Oh, okay. Sorry.
all
Thank
the
you.
other ones, yeah, January 26th.
Okay. Thank you for that clarification, Don. Okay. So why don't we go through the work session items, Don? So we have a few documents that have been signed electronically. Hayes
Yes.
Downey Place, the order of conditions, Plankton Energy, 146 East Main Street, the determination of applicability for the solar carport project, and Habitat Home 0 Lake Point Way, which was the second extension for the order of conditions permit. So those, I think those are all set. We're good.
Yeah, we signed all those and we issued the determination and the second extension permit, waiting on information to issue the order of conditions. We've got to get a revised plan, so we're waiting on that.
Okay, which one was that for, Don? That was,
The order of conditions for 20 Downey Place, they were going to give us a revised plan with
right.
located
Okay.
erosion control barrier, still waiting on that. So we've got the draft and I've got the signature. I'm just waiting on the final plan to issue the order.
Got it. Okay, that's right. Okay, thank you. Okay, new applications received, St. Pierre Wood, 1 Woody Island Road, a notice of intent.
Yeah, we expect that to go on the next meeting.
All right, and draft minutes, November 10th, 2020. Those look good to me. Did everyone get a chance to review those? And are there any comments or questions? Okay, can I get a motion to approve the minutes of November 20th, or November 10th, please, 2020?
Is Ted so moved?
Ted made the motion, and a second, please.
Ed, second.
Ed made this, seconded, and we'll do the roll call vote. Melissa,
Aye.
Kerry,
Aye.
Janine,
Aye.
Ted,
Aye.
Ed,
Aye.
Jim,
Aye.
and Jeff is an aye. All right, Don, I think we're good there. Thank you. Okay. Grasshopper, 0 Cedar Street and 17 Wilson Street. A request to discuss the current project status. So they're looking for us to waive one of the conditions on this project, Don?
I believe they're going to ask that.
Okay. Do we have
Sure.
anyone from Grasshopper on the call?
Yeah, good evening. Can you guys hear me okay?
We can, Mr. King, thank you.
How are you this evening? My name's Christopher King with Atlantic Design Engineer, here on behalf of Grasshopper Solar. I also have Mr. Ahmed Hafez with me with Grasshopper, and he's the head of engineering, procurement, and construction. So he's really going to be the face of the project moving forward from the construction and engineering standpoint.
Okay,
It's been some time since we've been before you folks. Just to quickly recap, back in July of 2018, the project was approved. We spent, at least several months after we went through you folks going through the planning board process, realized several iterations and revisions, ultimately reducing the project actually from what you guys had originally approved back in July of 2018. And so we're basically at a point now where, we would like to start the site work component of the project sooner rather than later. As everyone knows, it's a sloped site with challenging conditions. And it's really and speaking, during the permit process, Phil from the Beta Group had noted that the winter months would be the best months to do the site work because you're able to easily control, at least easier to mitigate, erosion and sediment controls, which is going to be a key component of this project as it relates to protecting the adjacent resource areas.
Mhm.
So, we are in the process of getting all of our ducks in a row to submit for the building permit. We have not done that yet, just due to all of the changes. There have been some pretty significant design changes, primarily on the electrical end. All of the changes capture the spirit of what we originally agreed to with the commission, where, if you recall, we had pulled everything, all of the panels and everything outside of the 100-foot buffer zone.
Mhm.
We're still honoring that. I don't know if I'm able to share my screen. I haven't been before you folks in a Zoom format, but I'd be more than happy to bring up, the latest, the layout to show you the reduced footprint. But really, it's we've eliminated the 2 rows and the finger that's located closest to Wilson Street.
Okay, so just, getting down, we don't have a lot of time to go through this entire
Sure.
project again. So what's the
So,
gist of the request?
So the gist of the request is, when you go through the order of conditions, the order of conditions was very straightforward and segmented as far as pre-construction, construction requirements, construction 59, which Don just brought up, that says construction shall not commence until all required permits and approvals have been obtained.
Mhm.
Depends how you interpret that. I don't think it's uncommon for projects to start the site work component prior to the building permit. But again, when we first had asked Don, he respectfully deferred to the commission based on your interpretation of the way that's written. And we're basically coming before you respectfully requesting permission to start the site work prior to getting our building permit, so we could get a jump during the winter months here. We intend on submitting for the building permit probably within the next month, I would say. And we are also going to be back before you folks to request to amend our order of conditions so that the filing that you approve will be consistent with what we submit for the building permit. But again, we're asking for the ability. There's a lot of site work out here to do ahead of that point in time, and we would just like the ability to get a head start on that. So, I'm not sure that, what the proper, I guess, mechanism would be. I would defer to what your preference is, but we would either ask that we waive condition 59 to allow us to start the site work, or perhaps it's amended to say, construction, with exception to the building permit, construction shall not commence until all required permits and approvals have been attained. We have obtained our special permit, our scenic road permit, and our stormwater permit through the planning board. And as you know, the order of conditions for you folks are really the only permit left is the building permit.
So what's the holdup with the building permit?
So the electrical design, there are some challenging components out on the site, particularly some of the ceremonial stone landscapes and just the truncated footprint we were left with after going through the planning board. And so we're really trying, Grasshopper has been working very diligently to update the electrical design and then try to maximize the array within the footprint that was already approved, if that makes sense. So with that, there's a huge structural and electrical component that needed to be redesigned. In addition, my civil site plans will need to be slightly revised to show, the driveway is going to be relocated within the fence that you've already approved. And so it's really just making sure we get all these drawings coordinated between the three different disciplines and then submitted to the town. And it's just taking a little longer than we thought. We're now into the cold winter months, and we would just like to get a head start on the site construction, the site work component of the project. And we would fulfill all of the remaining conditions that you've outlined in your order that are required prior to construction. So we intend on getting all of the erosion controls established, having a pre-construction meeting, have Dawn review, the erosion control line, anything that's else is outlined, we would be providing that to the commission prior to starting.
Okay, got it. Thank you. All right, so we've had this request in the past for some other sites, and I think my sense is, you can go out and put out the erosion control barriers. So that's something that you can do prior to getting the building permit. Unfortunately, to be consistent with, decisions we've made in the past on other sites, we are going to have to, my view, and I'll open this up to the other commission members, is that, we need to have the building permit in place before we allow you to go out and do the clearing and grubbing of the property. And it sounds like you had mentioned that it's, Grasshopper's intent to come before the commission for an amended order of conditions. I'm not quite sure what that scope is going to entail, but, I'm just, my sense is before the building permit's in place, allowing the applicant to go out and clear the site and grub it is, getting ahead of themselves a little bit. So that's my thought, and let me open it up to the other commission members for their comments.
So Jeff, this is Jim.
Yes, Jim.
I agree with you 100%. We've seen projects throughout our lives that have been started and then not completed. I'm sure these guys are going to go all the way through, but we don't want to have a site cleared and grubbed and then have it take a long time for it to start or whatever. So I don't think we should waive the cost.
Okay.
Condition.
Thank you, Jim.
Yeah.
This is Melissa. I'd agree with you, and I would also have hesitations and want to see the review the SWIP plan again if we're entertaining clearing and grubbing in the winter when you can't spread seed or stabilize the whole entire site. I have some concerns about that.
Thank you, Melissa.
This is Ed. I concur.
All right, thank you, Ed. Any other comments from commission members? All right, let me just open it up to public comments. Is there anyone in the public that wishes to comment? And let me just see if anyone has their hands raised.
Through the chair.
Yes, Matt, go ahead.
Just one other thought on that, and maybe, for guidance to the applicant as well. It might be worthwhile to discuss if you feel the work would be allowed to start before the amended order is issued. If he gets his building permit, depending on the timing of the amended order, there's some consistency with that because the amended order obviously does open the project up for appeals again. So if you want to speak to that, it might be worthwhile.
Yeah, that's a good point, Matt. Thank you. So, depending on the, yes, Don.
Just wanted to bring up two things in regards to the SWIP. That's one of the before constructions. We like to get at least a month ahead. I don't believe that's been submitted. And two, in regards to they're talking about amending the order. If it's all minor, they might want to be doing it as a project change request under 26. So if the scope of the project doesn't expand, you guys might find these, electrical changes to be insignificant. So they might not need an amended order of conditions. They might need a project change request under condition number 26.
Yep. Very good point, Don. So, Mr.
Yeah.
King, did you get that?
Yes, sir. That was an excellent point. And I would, we would present the project, as it's changed back to the commission. I feel like it does qualify for 26 because it's actually reducing the original scope. And most of the changes are outside of the 100-foot buffer zone in the first place. So I appreciate you pointing that out, Don.
Yeah, that'll certainly streamline the, the process for you. And to Matt's point, we, before, when you do get the building permit, I think it would behoove the applicant to come before us with the proposed changes to the site prior to the clearing, Mr. King. I think that makes sense. If you know what those changes are now, I would do that sooner rather than later. From what it sounds, if it's, if it can be done as a project change, I think it should be fairly straightforward. But does that all sound okay to you?
Yes, that all sounds reasonable.
Okay, very good. Okay, thank you, Mr. King. Appreciate it.
Thank you. I appreciate your time.
You're welcome. Okay, so let's move on to the agenda. Here, so 16 Downey Street, Hayes. This is a continuation of a notice of intent to install a lakefront retaining wall. Mr. Hayes, are you on the call with us?
Yes, I am.
Okay, good evening.
Good evening.
And do you have
I
your
hope all is
consultant?
well and everyone's doing well.
Thank you. Yep, Happy New Year.
Happy New Year to you folks too.
Okay, do you have your consultant or?
Yep.
Oh, okay, Mr. Marconaut, good evening. How are you?
How are you?
Good, thank you. You want to kind of give us an overview of where we're at?
Certainly. So after last month's meeting, we went back out to the site and obtained a few more features. On the left-hand side of the page, that black line that goes from top to bottom is the existing low water mark as of January 4th. After we certainly listened to the board last month and looked at alternatives, realized that our wall was too long. Our wall previously proposed was at 60 feet. We're now proposing a wall at 23 and a half. We also went out and verified and obtained some 5 stumps, including the big stump that's laying on its side. We're proposing now to only cut 2 stumps. The other 3 are going to remain intact. We're going to cut them a little bit lower to the surface, but they're going to stay. We're not going to ruin or disturb the root ball of the stumps. The one that's laying on its side is going to remain as is. The wall is still proposed at the high water mark. Erosion controls have been shown. They're going to extend only 6 feet from the face of the wall. And the face of the wall is proposed is going to be 42 feet from the low water mark. So we're proposing to take out the stumps that are closest to the dock. You'll see that black circle, and the other black circle is a 15 and a 25-inch pines. Those are coming out. The ones to the bottom of the page are remaining. We also located a line of existing stones. We're going to utilize those stones that are inside that erosion control corral, and we're going to use those stones to rebuild that wall. We also obtained 2 brush areas. It's highlighted on the left-hand side of the drawing. We're going to disturb one and then replant that one in a different location. And then there's an area of loose stones kind of above the water, heading uphill. We're going to just take off the surface stones and just excavate slightly to put in our proposed stairs. So we drastically reduced the project. We've also had a habitat study done by Northeast Ecological, Scott Hahn. He's supposed to be attending tonight's meeting. He sees no detriment with the wall construction from a wildlife habitat perspective. We have not contacted Chapter 91. We wanted to wait till after this evening's meeting, and then we would proceed ahead with a filing if needed with Chapter 91.
Okay, is Mr. Hahn on the call?
Mr. Heim, I don't know.
No, he's doesn't sound like it. Okay. All right, Matt, did you have any comments at this point?
I read through the information submitted. I think it's definitely an improvement, reducing the scope of the wall. I think the only question that's come up out of the presentation just now was there's a discussion of replanting the area that's being disturbed. Can you talk a little bit about where that's going? Because I don't know if that's shown on a plan as far as what's being planted and where.
Yep. Dawn, can you scroll to the left side of the plan? And then down just a little bit. I'm sorry, up a little bit. I'm sorry. So those two, if you will, kind of bold little figures. The top one is brush area number 1, which will be disturbed. Brush area number 2 will remain. Below that is the area where we're proposing high bush blueberries. So the plantings replace bush area number 1. The reason why bush area number 1 needs to be disturbed is it's right next to that 25-inch pine, and it's also right where the stairs are going to be, and very, very much adjacent to the wall.
So what's in the area? What's in the area that's scheduled to become the replanting area currently?
Lawn. It's lawn right now.
And how many bushes are going to go in there?
It's only an area of, it's only a 9x6 area. So we'll make it as densely as required. There could be quite a few, but we're just going to populate that area.
Okay. And then I think the only other comment I had was, I know in the original order of conditions, notice of intent for the overall project established a PIB, and I'm just wondering how that gets extended or what that looks like with this, you know, how those two plans kind of come together, and if the PIB is going to come down and include some of this area that's going to remain natural. That would be my recommendation, that it should.
Yeah, I honestly don't remember where the PIB was on the previous filing. Certainly the wall should act as the PIB, but we're planning on leaving lawn as is from, if you will, the kind of that brush area up to the existing hay bale line, which is to the uphill of that brush area number 1. But I don't remember what we proposed as a PIB. I don't know if we ever indicated that, and that had to be maybe determined at a later date.
I think it was shown on the other plan, but it didn't really kind of come down close to the water, because at that time I think this was sort of, you know, wasn't under discussion to be disturbed.
Yeah, we do have a meadow on the uphill side of the existing shed, below the porch and deck, in front of on the street side of the shed. And I know there's
so I think I'd recommend to the commission that the plan show, you know, something that can be in the file or recorded that shows what areas are sort of open for future use and which areas are meant to remain undisturbed, or in the case of the meadow, that some sort of a mitigation, so that, you know, this owner or future owners understand sort of where expansion or non-expansion can occur.
Yeah, I think that makes sense, Matt. And Joe, you know the drill on that, right? So you can put the
Yeah.
medallions,
Yeah. Yeah.
and we just need it indicated on the plan. So if you can submit a revised plan
Sure.
that shows, those locations. Okay, thank you, Matt. All right, let me open it up to questions or comments from the commission at this point.
This is Ed. I just want to say it's a big improvement.
Okay, thank you, Ed. Any other questions or comments from commission members?
Through the chair.
Yes.
I can't remember recently if we've ever permitted a new wall, and really that's probably under the chapter 91 permitting. But it kind of makes me sad. I like a more natural setting. I wish people would go to a more natural edge. I think it's better for the lake. And I know a lot of these have been, way previous before any of our regulations were in place, many of the retaining walls that are around there, but I don't think it's a great practice. I don't think it's within our jurisdiction to really say one way or the other because they have the other permitting, but it just kind of makes me sad.
Okay. Yeah, I think the applicant has kind of met us in the middle here because we did require that. I think it was 60 feet previously. Is that correct, Mr. Marquardt?
That was right. Yeah, correct. Yep.
Yeah, so, this is a significant reduction, so, I think they are making some concessions here, and I agree with you, Carrie. I prefer to see a natural type of, embankment there, but I can understand the homeowner's perspective as well. So anyways, okay. All right, any other comments, questions from commission members?
Through the chair,
Yes, Don.
in regards to the PIB on the old one, I don't see it in the order, but we had mitigation proposed meadow area because the area was previously disturbed. So I'm not sure if, oh no, I'm sorry. Here's the proposed PIB right here. I don't know if we captured that in the last order, but we will capture it in this order.
Okay, can you just point it out, Don, because I can't really see it.
Are you able to, because I'm not sure, are you able to, I'm flipping back and forth because I didn't bring the old order into the tonight's documents.
Okay.
See if I can do a new share screen. Are you able to see this plan?
Yep.
Yep, so you got your meadow here and you had a PIB, looks like over here, not along the lake, but a small area trying to protect in here.
Mm-hmm. So that area is still proposed to be protected. Is that correct, Mr. Marquardt, Mr. Reeves?
Yes, it is.
Yes, it is.
Okay.
Yep.
All right.
Yeah, that area is untouched.
Okay.
So if we can just get that, because I think we might have not caught that on the last order.
Great. On the
You know,
last iteration.
We captured the mitigation, but I don't think we caught that small little area. So if it could be identified on this plan as it was on the last, like Matt said, and we will capture it on any pending new order.
Okay, so if you can just include that in the revised plan, Mr. Marquardt.
Sure. Yep.
All right. Okay, questions or comments from the public? I don't see any hands raised. Feel free to speak up at this point. All right. Okay. I think we're good. All right, if I can get a motion to close and approve the notice of intent as discussed, subject to the applicant submitting a revised site plan as discussed within the next, is 2 weeks reasonable? Mr.
Yes.
Marquardt?
Yes.
Okay. All right, so if I can get a motion, please.
So moved.
Okay, Jim made the motion in a second.
Second, Janine.
I believe that was Janine. And we'll do the roll call vote. And Melissa dropped off, so Carrie.
Aye.
Janine? Janine?
Aye.
Ed?
Ed, aye.
Ed?
Aye.
And Jim?
Aye.
And Jeff is an aye. Okay, very good. Thank you, folks.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Have a good evening.
Ooh.
Okay, moving along. Morrow, 88 Franklin Road. This is a request for determination of applicability for a septic repair.
Might have to read this one, Jeff.
Yep, I'm bringing it up right now. Oops. The Hopkinton Conservation Commission will hold a public hearing on Tuesday, January 12, 2021 at 7:00 p.m. Virtually online to hear all persons interested in the request for determination of applicability filed by Sean Morrow to replace and enlarge a septic system with associated site work. The location, 88 Franklin Road, Assessors Map R9, Block Lot 13, Lot 0. Okay, Mr. Morrow, are you on the line?
Dan McIntyre representing Sean Morrow.
Okay, Mr. McIntyre, good evening.
Good evening. Yeah, the Morrows are looking to upgrade their existing septic system. It was installed in 1976. They're planning some additions to their home that requires a larger septic system. So we were retained to design a new one. The location we selected was behind the house, as shown in the red on that plan. The existing system is also in the backyard, much smaller. That small circle between the house and the garage is the existing leach pit. That's going to be pumped out and filled in. We're going to put in new tank, new pump chamber, new leaching trenches, with the bulk of the work being outside the 100-foot buffer, which is that yellow line.
Okay.
We do need to run some piping and electrical conduit through the buffer back to the house. And construction access will be down the driveway across the backyard to the leach area.
Okay.
The wetlands were identified just on the south side of the driveway. It's kind of a boulder strewn area there that seems to collect water and establish the wetland there.
Okay. All right. I think this looks pretty straightforward. Matt, you had a couple comments. One was identify proposed stockpiling areas. Do you have that?
Yes, I received Matt's comments today.
Okay.
I did talk to one of the contractors bidding the project. And on this particular one, there's really no formal stockpile area. Because the system is being raised up on that slope, what they're going to do is excavate out the leaching area and the two tank areas and use that soil around the new system to kind of create a berm and that slope.
Mm-hmm.
So they're really not going to be having a formal stockpile area. They're just going to kind of berm up that soil around the leaching area. And then they can
Okay.
haul in clean fill for the septic system within that, and then within that berm.
So the clean fill, when it's brought in, will be put in place. It won't need to be stockpiled. It'll just be applied to the.
It'll be dumped in the hole, yes.
Okay, got it. Okay, and then there was an area of yard waste that was observed that was being dumped in the wetlands. So, we just have a recommendation that that be removed in, future dumping in that area.
Yeah, that looks like it was down at the end of that turnaround, driveway turnaround. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know, Matt, can you
Yeah,
provide some
that's
clarification?
exactly where it is.
I can talk to the homeowner and see about that.
Okay, all right. We just like to keep that stuff out of the buffer zone and wetland areas. Okay, I think this is pretty straightforward. Questions, comments from the commission?
Through the chair, Jeff?
Yes, Matt.
My only other comment was potentially beefing up the erosion controls a little bit. They had showed just an 8-inch wattle. I think either having a larger wattle or backing that up with a silt fence would be warranted on this site.
Okay, does that sound okay, Mr. McIntyre?
Yeah, we'd like to go with the 12-inch wattle rather than the silt fence. Given the distance to the wetlands, we think 12-inch wattles would be appropriate.
Okay, I think, Matt, you agree with that?
Yeah, that'll be fine.
All right. Okay, comments from the commission members? Any comments from the public? And I don't see any hands raised. If there are anyone has a comment, feel free to speak up now. Okay, if I can get a motion to issue a negative determination for this request for determination for 88 Franklin Road.
This is Ted, so moved.
Ted made the motion, and a second, please.
Carrie, second.
Carrie seconded, and we'll do the roll call vote. Carrie,
Aye.
Janine,
Aye.
Ted,
Aye.
Ed, Ed,
Itself, there we go. Aye.
Jim,
All right.
and Jeff is an aye. Okay. Thank you, Mr. McIntyre.
Thank you very much.
Okay, good luck.
Don, do you want an updated plan with the 12-inch wattles?
Yeah, that'd be fine. Thank
Yeah, I think I should, so it just doesn't get lost.
Exactly. That'd be
Yeah,
great.
and you can just hand write it in, Mr. McIntyre. You don't have to draft a new. I think that's fine, just so we have it for the record.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome. Okay, all right.
We got a couple of public forum requests. Do you want to look at
Yeah,
those?
we still have we have one more item. on
Oh, I
the
forgot about that. Yeah,
work
number
session.
5.
Yeah, Brenshaw Court, 47 Stony Brook.
Yes, yep.
So we have a representative from Brenshaw Corp. on the call.
Not sure. I know me and Matt wanted to bring it to your attention.
Okay,
Just trying to.
yeah, it doesn't look like it, Don. So if you can give us an overview of the,
Yes.
I saw the email chain that you sent through, but if you can give the commission members a overview,
Yeah, I've
what
got
was
Matt's
going on.
photos here. And there's the email chain. Matt, do you want to give an overview of what you saw on the site?
Sure. I think Dave Marquinot's still around too, and I know he's involved in this project. So, Dave, I don't know if you're available for questions or comments on this.
Yeah,
I think, oh, yeah.
I can kind of give an overview if you want.
Okay, you're probably most familiar with it than anyone.
So, Dave Wilkinson, I spoke with Dave, he's Brenshaw. He was planning to attend tonight. I don't know if he's there or not. It doesn't sound like it. He was in the hospital a few days ago, but if he's not here. So, JD Marquardon had staked out the back edge of erosion control from the sideline of Stony Brook Road all the way to the property line going to the east, all along the edge of the wetland, per the approved plan. I think something got missed in the communication. At that particular point, they should have notified conservation to have Matt go out and make sure that the limit of work was based on that approved plan. They never made that call. After that, cutters went in, cleared the property. Still no call to conservation. The same woodcutters, my understanding, the same woodcutters removed the stumps. Still no call to the commission. The erosion control then went in. A lot of our stakes got destroyed during the wood cutting phase. I think at that point, I reached out to Dave Wilkinson and he reached out to Don. They stopped work. They never started work. That machine you see in that picture never did anything. Everything was done by the tree cutter, the wood cutter. We then got notified from Dave Wilkinson to restake the limit of work. So we had done so. We saw Matt out on the site last week. We walked right from Stony Brook Road to about 3/4 of the way in, almost to the property line. And what we have on the ground is erosion control line that's a little bit closer to the wetland edge than what was approved. We were then asked by Wilkinson to go out and locate that existing back edge of siltation fence and also the limit of disturbance based on the tree cutter. We've done that. We're in the midst of plotting that right now. And then at that point, we can present that to the board. A lot of it, there's only 2 little spots in the back furthest away from Stony Brook Road, from memory, that are slightly beyond the previous approved line. A lot of the major is up at the top by Stony Brook Road. We have an isolated wetland series B there. There is a little activity. There's 2 rows of erosion control, about 8 or 10 feet apart or so. And the limit of disturbance is right about in the middle of that. That's kind of, unfortunately, there you go. You can kind of see the limit of work right about kind of in the middle of that. Just rock that must have got turned up when they pulled the stump. Unfortunately, that's kind of what happened.
Okay. So,
Yeah, so Jeff, let me, if I can, I'll just fill a little bit of the gaps there, just so we're all on the same page.
okay.
So as Mr. Monacrodan said, there was definitely a lack of communication from the applicant. When I first went out there, it was to inspect the erosion controls. We got a call that the erosion controls were installed. So I went out there and the erosion controls were there. At that time, I have no way of knowing if they were in the correct surveyed location or not, but it was noted that the site had been grubbed inappropriately at that time. So that was reported back to Don. And it was also pointed out that the wetland flags along the edge hadn't been reestablished at that time. This is all right around just before Christmas when Don and I were both out of the office. So and it was reported back to Mr. Wilkinson to have the wetland flags reestablished. And I think that's when Mr. Marquardt got involved and kind of realized that maybe the erosion controls weren't in the correct place. And as he said, we eventually met out on the site and walked it. And I think the only other point that I would make was that the site is very bony, a lot of boulders, and I don't know if it's ledge or just large boulders. But it seems like sort of when there was a boulder that was maybe in the way, the decision was made to push the erosion controls closer to the wetland as opposed to reducing the impacts inside the site, which I think is a little presumptuous. And certainly within the areas that shouldn't have been disturbed, it's hard to tell if there were any large trees taken down, but there was certainly evidence that some shrubby vegetation was lost. So I don't know if the commission will want to give any guidance as far as any kind of restoration plan that might come out of this once it's determined exactly how far off they were with the clearing or not.
Okay, thanks, Matt. Yeah, I think there's still a little bit of work that needs to be done in order for us to get a full understanding of the disturbance. It sounds like, Mr. Wilkinson has done projects in town before, so, clearly he knows that the commission, should have been notified prior to the tree clearing and grubbing. However, that was, that's water under the bridge at this point. So, okay. All right. And when we, assess what the full scope of the incursion was, then we can kind of, I think the commission can evaluate whether restoration is necessary or, what course of action we should take. So, and I'll open it up to the other commission members for their comments. Does that make sense to everyone?
Yeah, I'm just glad to say that we found out. I'm glad that we found out.
Yep, I agree. Okay. Any other questions, comments from commission members? All right, questions, comments from the public? Okay. All right, Mr. Marquardt, thank you. We appreciate it. If you can just keep us posted.
Through the chair,
Yes, Don.
just want to make sure Dave got noted that the wetland flags haven't been refurbished per condition 35. So hopefully that will be done on site. And as Jeff said, the commission would need some sort of revised plan showing, area of disturbance, where the current erosion controls are now, that, kind of an existing condition, so they can get a better understanding.
That's exactly what we're working on. Yep.
Thank you.
Yep.
Perfect. Okay, thank you, Mr. Marquardt.
Thank you.
Okay, have a good evening.
You too. Thank you.
Thanks. Okay. All right, Don, let's move along to the public forum requests.
Yes, the commission received a scope from Beta Group because for the NOI for Nation, that's not before the planning board. So, so basically, does the commission want to retain a peer engineering review? And we would need more consultant fees. We've got, the NOI gave us $3,500 in consultant fees, and I've got the scope for Beta.
Yeah. My sense on this, Don, is, I was thinking about this. I think we should wait until Mr. Nation on this project is going to be before the commission at the next meeting on the 26th, correct?
He did ask for a continuation, yes.
Yeah, I think, this is, I want to get the opinion from the other commission members as well, but, my sense is, I think the feedback that we gave to the nations was, this is a crossing that's being proposed, right? But where, they haven't provided us with the full scope of, what's going to be, what the crossing is for and what additional work is going to be on the parcel that the crossing is going to, so that we can evaluate the cumulative impacts. So before we approve Beta to do this engineering study, You know, my sense is that unless we have that full scope of work, you know, that the project is gonna, you know, be comprised of, you know, I don't think you know, my sense is that it's not gonna get approved by the commission, right? So I don't want them to go forward with this review and spend $4,400, you know, if the decision that the commission's gonna make is, you know, we can't go forward with this until we have the full scope of the project that's gonna be proposed. If that makes sense to everyone.
Well, Jeff, I have a question, maybe a comment. So
Yeah.
I've been thinking about this a lot. Have we ever, it seems to me that it's not unreasonable for somebody to ask, let's say, for example, I have a stream or whatever going through my property and I want to just be able to get to the other side. That doesn't seem like an unreasonable request, whether or not, well, and so I'm wondering, have we ever just allowed somebody access to an upland property, or maybe it's not upland, but to an adjoining parcel or part of the same parcel for recreation or whatever? Maybe they want to ride their bikes and they don't, have we ever done that?
We've done temporary crossings to, you know, to allow
So like what's there?
further, you know,
Yeah, like a footpath,
For
like a
construction.
little footbridge.
yeah, the only other one that we've, that, you know, that we did approve was the one on East Main Street for the site that was donated to the town.
Yeah.
Where the proposed marathon museum is gonna be.
So we've always known something was going to go there, but we've never known exactly what's going to go there. So we approved that. Does that set, you know, does that sort of set a precedent that we've approved a crossing or access without definitive plans? Because that's gone from, you know, from several different things, right?
So
Or
we
it's the
appro-
fact that we know there's going to be a building that allows us to approve the crossing. Since we know that's going to be developed, did that allow us to approve the crossing? Or did we approve the crossing without consideration for what was going to go there?
Well, we approved the crossing with the understanding that the Marathon Museum was gonna be, you know, constructed at the site.
Okay, so we got, yeah, so we had a use.
Yes.
Okay, yeah.
Right.
So I was
So
just
we didn't have
wondering about it.
definitive plans to evaluate cumulative impact.
Right.
But, you know, this was a year and a half ago, I think, Don, that we did this approval at least.
Longer, probably. And
Oh,
I'd,
yeah.
I'd have to, and I'll get a link and I'll send it to all the members. But I thought there was some caveats, like, because they were in a
Yes.
hurry to get something showing that they could access it. So I think it would help with financing or something. We might have had conditions that said you can't actually build it until you give us, you know, the plans that shows what you're going to build, you know, what's going in there.
Right,
I think we needed to know that we could have access in order to get the funding at town meeting, right?
Yeah, you know, so I think it was like, yeah, you build this, but I think there might have been strings attached, but I can.
Don, there were definitely strings attached. That was my next point, which was when we approved that, there were caveats that were, you know, put in place as part of that approval. And I don't recall exactly what they were, but, you know, and if you can do research on that and forward it to the commission, Don.
After when the meeting closes, I'll go back into the records and send you guys a link, you know, create a link if we don't have it yet, so you can do all your research, look at what happened in that last filing.
Yeah, that was the only other one. That was kind of an extenuating circumstance because the town needed to know whether they could do the crossing to get the financing, that type of thing.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I don't recall exactly what they were, so I don't want to speculate. But if you can do that research, Don, and you don't have to do it tonight. I don't think anyone's going to look at it tonight. You know, you can wait until tomorrow or the day after. But so I guess what I'm, you know, with regard to your specific public forum request here, Don, I think we should wait until the 26th so that, you know, Mr. Nation can decide whether or not they, you know, want to spend the $4,400 on the
Sure.
engineering study.
Great. Yep. We'll table
make
that for
sense
the
to
next
everyone?
hearing. If everyone else is okay with that.
Is everyone else okay with that?
Yes.
Okay, does anyone disagree? Okay,
No.
all right, thank you, Don. And then we have the forest cutting plan was the second public forum.
Yeah, oops, sorry. It just came in today. So I sent out an email. I don't know if you guys got a chance to see it.
No.
Because it's for the,
Liberty Mutual property.
correct. So basically, I haven't had a chance to look over the entire thing, but from what I can tell is the excluded area is where the existing building is, I believe. So this would be the forest cutting plan, which would be all the other area.
Right. Okay. So is this just an FYI, Don, at this point?
Well, I just don't, I mean, you guys had concerns with the forest cutting plan on the solar project at 147 Lumber. And how you had PIB areas and nothing was going to get disturbed. Part of this area was going to be donated to Halt. I did hear back from Halt. Halt had no idea that there was going to be a forest cutting plan on the land they were going to get. So I don't know if you guys are going to have issues with this like you did on the last one.
So Don, let me just ask you this. Is this forest cutting plan being proposed you know, coincident with the solar, or is this, you know, what they intend to do if the solar doesn't get approved? I guess, you know,
Yeah, is this for
Would've
specifically
been nice.
for the,
because
Would've been
as
nice if
part
they
of,
told us,
because
oh,
as,
by the way, because you guys do a cumulative review during the NOI, you know, so it would have been nice if they said, oh yeah, and by the way, we're going to do a forest cutting plan, you know,
well,
we don't know anything about it, tell you the truth.
yeah, so the thing is as part of the solar project, I forget exactly what it was, but 48 acres was planned to be preserved and, you know, handed over to Halt, I believe, right?
Yeah, that was part, because you guys gave, there was a mitigation package for all the buffer zone disturbance.
Right.
And also, yeah, I don't think, there was a PIB area too, you know, so.
Right. So my sense is if they're going forward with the solar project, then this forest cutting plan, you know, kind of flies in the face of, you know, some of the mitigation that we approved, you know, for the buffer zone disturbance at the property. So I think
Yeah.
we need a little bit more clarification from Seaboard Solar on this as to what the plan is.
And then I don't know if this, but as you know, you issued an order, but it's under appeal. So your order isn't definitive. So those conditions aren't ironclad. So I don't know if you guys then want to talk about it in executive session. And
Yeah, so I think, you know, as far as the forest cutting plan that's being proposed here, we need some more clarification from Seaboard Solar.
we can ask for it, but obviously we're not the regulatory authority under this. All we can do is write to DEP, I mean DCR, and say, if we agree with where the wetlands are shown, you know? And I think I would probably write in the letter, oh, by the way, there's a solar project on this, and wouldn't that fly in the face of the exemption under the act and under the bylaw? If, you know, why would it get a forest cutting plan if it's not going to be a forest anymore? It's going to be a solar farm. But yeah.
Well, I think,
well,
so
it's
my
so far
sense
down,
is,
we got approval on it yet.
yeah, my sense is, Don, that if they go forward with this so we send the letter to the DEP approving the resource area locations, right? They do the forest cutting plan, because they don't need our approval to do that.
Well, unless it's,
Then that, hold on a second, Jim, then that is inconsistent with what what the commission required in the order of conditions for the solar, ground mount that they're proposing, because,
But unlike the last discussion we had regarding like 147, the order of conditions was issued and
Right.
was ironclad.
right.
There is no ironclad. It's in limbo right now. It's in litigation. So I guess what's
But we made our
preventing
decision,
them
though.
and just cutting this now, getting their approval. And, I think at some point it should be brought to DEP's attention because they're doing the review under the act, and they might not care because it's just buffer zone. But it might be valid to tell Superior Court, that, wait a minute, we based, the commission based an approval on buffer zone disturbance based on a mitigation package. Now that mitigation package is getting screwed around with.
Right,
So
so
if
I
I
think I think if they did go forward with this, that would negate our order of conditions, is what I'm saying.
So can I just interrupt? If I may, through the chair, I'm going to advise all of you that this is the implications of this for the appeals, the current litigation that's pending is really something that should be discussed in executive session. So I'm going to advise you to just defer any discussion that references that litigation to executive session where we already have scheduled to discuss that litigation. And I think it's perfectly relevant to discuss any information we have that's relevant to that litigation. So to the extent that I would leave the litigation out of this discussion, but you can certainly go on to discuss if you want to, what you want to do with this that's before you, if you want to have Seaboard Solar come in, if you want to prepare comments to DCR. You can certainly comment to DCR, as Don referenced, about anything. DCR may decide that some of the things that you've commented on are irrelevant to its review,
Right.
but nothing's stopping you from bringing things to DCR's attention. So
Yeah.
anyway, but just please do stay away from the litigation.
Yeah, thank you, Rebecca. Okay. Yeah, so why don't we ask, I think it makes sense to ask Seaboard Solar to come before the commission, just provide clarification on what the intent is here, Don.
Yep, will do.
Okay. All right, and I think that's it for the public forum request, correct?
I believe so.
All right. So what I'm going to do at this point is the commission is going to go into executive session. So I just need to ask anyone from the public to please drop off the call. And I'm just going to make a motion here. I move that the commission enter into executive session pursuant to the Massachusetts General Laws, Chapter 30A, Section 21A3, for the purpose of discussing strategy with respect to the following litigation matters, discussion of which in an open meeting may have a detrimental effect on the commission's litigation position. As so, I declare Ober versus Hopkins and Conservation Commission, Middlesex Superior Court Civil Action. And in the matter of Franklin Road Solar, DEP OADR WET 2020-015, the counsel for the town, Rebecca Lacy and Ethan Divley, will attend, and the commission will not return to open session. So if I can do a roll call vote to go into executive session, and first I need a motion, please.
I'll
I'll
make
make
the
that
motion.
motion. Oh, I'll
Okay.
second it then.
Okay, Kerry made the motion.
Jim
Jim seconded. We'll do the roll call vote. So Kerry,
Aye.
Janine,
Aye.
Ed,
Ed or Ted? Ted, aye.
Ted, I, Ed. Ed. Okay, Jim,
Aye.
Aye. Uh-oh.
Ed's an I, and Jeff is an
Jim's an
I.
aye. Jim's an aye.
Okay. So we're in executive session. Let me just make sure that everyone from the public is dropped off.